Hey guys, it's Carrie here. I hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. And today I wanted to jump on, and I have about 5 or 6 lessons that I want to share with you from what I see made the difference between Trump and Clinton. And if you're not from the States, you probably are aware that the United States had their presidential election last week. And this is meant to be completely non-political, meaning that I'm not necessarily or I'm not sharing who I voted for, who, I'm not interested. I ask that you really don't share that. It's not a matter of who's better, who's right, who's wrong, any of that type stuff. What I really want to talk about and what I want to share are the lessons that I see on what Trump did right in the campaign. And more than that, the things that I see that he did that us as entrepreneurs can really bring into our business and maybe take a look at, how are we doing in comparison. So that's the conversation I want to have. If you think that would be interesting to your community, I would love it if you hit that share button and share it out. I'd love to have some conversation around this. And if you're jumping on live, please introduce yourself, say hello, let me know where you're watching from today, and I will dive into the material right away. Thank you guys. Welcome. Thank you for the hearts. So as an entrepreneur, whenever I see something as big as a presidential election happening, it drives me to kind of take a look at what are the pieces of what they're doing and how they're running their campaign. And is there any lessons that I can take from that for my business, for my clients, and just more importantly, as life lessons? And so, again, as you know, Trump did win. And, throughout the election, and even, I've been following him for quite some time. I mean, if you kind of have been in business, you probably have heard of Donald Trump. So, there were some things that he automatically kind of had, either you could say for him or against him when he came into the race, meaning some people already had some really strong opinions about him. Now, obviously, that's the same with Hillary as well, especially with her husband already having served as our president. So, that's one of those things as we are an entrepreneur, we are going to start developing a following. We're going to start to develop relationships with other entrepreneurs, with our community members. And, people are going to create opinions about you, and we don't have control over that. And I think that's one of the things, and I'm going to get into that in one of my points here, but is that you have to be detached from what people think about you. And that sounds really funny when you're thinking about somebody running for president, because obviously you're thinking, well, I want them to like me. I want them to vote for me. And as a business owner, and especially if you're a personal brand, you could be thinking that same thing, right? Well, I really want people to like me. I want them to, especially, if you follow me, I talk about the know, like, and trust factor a lot, but it's in a different way. It's not the matter of really wanting people to like you, but it's really about the other parts, and wanting them to trust you and wanting them to see what kind of a difference that you can make for them. And so the number one lesson that I really took away from the presidential race was being personal. And what I mean by this, and, again, I'm just going to talk totally strategy wise here, but between Trump and Clinton, Trump really got personal. He showed up, and social media is actually the number 2 point that I want to make, but Trump showed up. He talked personally to people. He talked without a script. He talked without a team. I mean, now sometimes people would say that actually got him in trouble by going off script or getting on social media and, talking to his followers. He has a huge following on Twitter, on Facebook. He would go on live. He would get on Snapchat. He was doing all these things and really being personable. And so, that makes me think about, as entrepreneurs, what are we doing to connect with our community, our tribe, the people that we want to work with? How are we getting personal? Are we showing a behind the scenes? Are we sharing stories? Live video is such an amazing place to show up in that way, because I don't have a script. I mean, I've got a couple points here that I want to share with you, but, and again, it's not just about like, I'm going to teach you these three things, but it's telling a story. It's taking you along for the ride. You know, if you're out and about, doing a video when you're out and about, you know, and really allowing people to see you. You know, it's not about what you can do for them at this point. You know, it's really just about like, hey, do I know you? Do I feel like I understand you as a person? So that's number one. Number two, I already kind of alluded to, but that's social media. Donald Trump used social media to win this race, hands down. And he has said it, you know, he has said it in the media. He was interviewed on 60 Minutes last night. He talked about it again, how important social media was for him to get his message out there. And he did not let up. He was relentless. He was consistent, and he put that personal touch into it, you know, and he really got out there and shared with his community. And so again, if you're just jumping on, I'm really just sharing kind of what I see are things that help Trump win the race. And it's not about whether I like Trump or I don't like Trump. And so again, just I ask out of respect that this doesn't become a political conversation. So number one is really being personal. Number two is really using the power of social media and understanding that, you know, you're able to get your message out to literally millions. And when you bring that personal aspect into it, you know, you're dynamic, you're interesting. People are looking forward to those social media updates. So really, really important. Hi, Joanna. I always love listening how you link different events back to business. Thank you, Joanna. That's just the way my brain works. So number three, what I want to share is the message. So again, Donald Trump's message, which I probably don't even have to say because most of you, even if you're not in the United States, will know it, but it's Make America Great Again. And actually, if you go back even prior to him joining the election, he was using that slogan or that message. And what I found really interesting is he never let go of that. That was his message from day one until now, is Make America Great Again. He, you know, taglined that. He used it in social media. He had, you know, his marketing materials on that. You know, that was the platform that he stood on. And whether, again, you liked him or not, you knew that was what his message was all about. And obviously, when he would go out there and share his mission and what he wanted to do, it was all around that. It all tied back to that. And what I did not see Hillary do, what I did not see Hillary Clinton do, was have a streamlined message that people knew as a tagline. And in fact, I can't remember how many different messages that she tried. I read it, but I don't remember. I feel like it's something like 30. Now, don't quote me on that because I don't remember that that's specifically the right number, but she had multiple messages that they tried throughout the campaign, and really none of them stuck until closer to the end when she kind of had the, and it was more of that symbol. It was like the H with the arrow, which was basically saying I'm with her. So that was kind of the message. And that seemed to have stuck. And I'm wondering if she had kind of come up with that very early on in the race, if that would have shifted anything for her. And so for you as an entrepreneur, as you know, someone that's building a brand and building a business, is your message that clear that somebody would be able to repeat it, that they know exactly what you stand for, and that your content, everything that you're putting out there, can drive directly back to that? Now, obviously, when you have one message, there's going to be multiple ways to talk about it. You know, one of the things that I really stand for is having a simple system, a simple business in place that really fuels your life. Meaning you're able to really create a business that's going to allow you that freedom, that impact, that difference that you want to make. And so typically when I'm sharing, it's about, you know, getting really clear on your message, creating that, you know, ideal client, creating that signature program, getting sales funnels in place, you know, really mastering sales conversations, putting yourself out there and getting visible so that you can do it all really simply to really live a great life. So that's, you know, that's kind of the overarching message that I have. And I hope that my followers and my clients and my community would be able to translate that back. And so you want to look at your message. Is it really clear? Do you have one overarching message that everything else is coming under? So just like Make America Great Again, you know, Donald was really able to, Mr. President, President-elect Mr. Trump, or whatever, however we're supposed to talk to him about, is that his message was very clear. And so look at your message. Number 4 is, and this kind of goes into a couple different pieces, and it's interesting because I've talked to quite a few of my entrepreneurial friends about this. And number 4 is really about being vulnerable and being transparent. So one of the things is within that is, are you really letting people see you? And again, with Donald Trump, I feel like he made a lot of mistakes. He said a lot of things in the past that really did not make him look so great. But what I feel like he did, my opinion, is that he was vulnerable enough to comment on those. He didn't just try to sweep it under the rug. The other thing is that he showed up in social media with his message and really shared transparently about him. He talked about what he could do. He talked about, his past struggles and building businesses and going through bankruptcy and what that had taught him. What I did, on the reverse with Hillary, she has an amazing, if you will, resume of what she's done, all the experience that she has. And I felt like when she showed up, it was all about looking a certain way, being really perfect and looking like she had it all put together and, being really serious, because running for president is really, really serious. And it's a big job. We all know that. But what she didn't do is she didn't let us get to know her. She wasn't really vulnerable. She wasn't transparent about who she was. And again, some of the articles that I've read about people on her campaign say she is the nicest, funniest, most warm-hearted person. But we as America never saw that. She always came across very serious, very stern, and I would even venture to say kind of cold. And so you weren't able to really connect with her, right? You weren't able to really kind of get that sense about who she was. And so for you, are you coming to the table being vulnerable and being transparent? Now, vulnerable does not equal coming across as a big hot mess, crying, being, looking for therapy, looking for help. And I think when people hear vulnerable, they automatically, and you might have already even automatically had some sort of a thought about what that word meant. So you're, again, welcome to share that in the comments if, maybe you think, and I know I did, I'll just share with you, about me as far as that word vulnerable. I used to think it meant weak. I'm not going to be vulnerable. I don't want to be weak. I don't want people to see, my, things that I'm not so great at, or, my struggles. And I want to show up, as a strong, bold leader and, like I have it all together. But the problem with that is it doesn't connect. Perfection. And I believe if you're not being vulnerable, if you're not being transparent, you're trying to swing to that perfection stage, is that perfection doesn't connect. And people are not going to trust you. They're probably not going to be able to put their finger on it, like why they don't exactly trust you. But it's going to be because they don't believe what you're saying, or they don't believe that you can help them. That's the other thing, is that if we don't share our struggles, if we don't share what we've gone through, it makes us completely unrelatable. And I think, unfortunately, Hillary became unrelatable, whereas Donald Trump has, a lot of failures, even in his marriages, in his business, in, a lot of different areas. And he was, I don't know if willing is the right word, but he did share that and did address the American population with those things. And I think because of that, a lot of people felt connected to him because of that. So just think about, and maybe you can even take a look at, if you are doing videos or you have your message out there, is how can you be more relatable? And vulnerability and transparency is going to be part of that. And story is where you can really share that most easily. So if you're sharing stories about your experience in, I know Joanna is a health coach. So if Joanna is sharing her experience about, her journey into eating, into, how it was difficult and how she got past that, it's like that trial to triumph story. Joanna says that's such a great input into the campaign, even though it's not a political discussion. Yes. Thank you. So Joanna, can be sharing stories about that, can be, relating to her audience so they understand and they know that she understands their struggle. But then she's able to say, this is how I got through it, and this is how it developed into my program that I'm now, working with women on. And it's so amazing. And, that vulnerability then turns into how she can help them. And so, think about how you can put more of that into your business. Number 5, and I think this one is pretty cool, because what Donald Trump did is he completely disrupted the marketplace. And he's even doing it right now after he's won. And what I mean by that is he shared beliefs, he shared messages and conversations that did not, that the popular, opinion did not agree with. So he was willing to get on the news. He was willing to use social media. He was willing to, in the debates, share opinions that he knew was going to ruffle feathers, right? That it was going to disrupt the marketplace. And so that's the same thing when you're sharing your message. Are you kind of like trying to, follow, the easy, safe way because you think that's going to be able to like get the most clients, or, maybe the most likes on a post because you're going to be like kind of fluffy and, people are going to like that? Or are you willing to take a stand? Again, here's an example. I see so many really, really successful entrepreneurs out there talking about hustle and grind. And that's what it's all about. And that's how you get successful. And, you work and, you have to be 100% committed, and business is all about it. And that's all you have to, focus on, and et cetera, hustle and grind. Well, I decided that is not what I agree. That is not what I believe. And I don't agree with that message. And so what I now come up with is you don't have to hustle and grind to have a successful business. That's not what it's all about. There's way more to life. And yes, as mission-driven entrepreneurs, we want to create a business that makes a big difference and makes a big impact. And we want to get our message out there. And that's fantastic. But how much else is there to life? Is there family? Is there spirituality? Is there travel? Is there, all these other things? And I am the anti-hustle girl. I am the put the simple systems and structures in place, get your business on automate, so that you can do what's in your zone of genius, so you can really make that difference. And so to me, that's kind of disruptive. Now, obviously, in comparison to Trump, it's not as disruptive. But think about what makes you unique. And I think that's where you can start to kind of peel back the layers of the onion. What makes you unique in the marketplace and makes you different than, say, the next health coach, right? So again, just going back to Joanna, because I know her on this stream, she really believes that food can be fun, that you can have freedom with food, that you can really enjoy it. And so that's not the norm, right? It's usually about you need to count your calories and you need to eat paleo, or you need to be gluten-free and sugar-free and dairy-free. And none of that sounds fun to me. I don't know about you, but, and so she's kind of disrupting the marketplace by not going along the normal pattern. And so think about your business, your mission, and how can you shake up your marketplace? So I see Charlotte just came on, in styling, and, what is your kind of big idea that is different than another stylist, or a different life coach, or a different relationship coach, or, whatever kind of business that you're in? How can you stand out? And then last but not least, I think this one, I'm sure all of what I've shared today is going to, ruffle somebody's feather, and somebody's going to have something to say to me. But again, it's not about who I voted for. It's not about being political, but, and I know another coach in the industry, she made a post, and she was specifically for a candidate. And she really kind of talked about this piece of what I want to share, and got a lot of hate mail. She had multiple high-end clients stop working with her. She really disrupted the marketplace by doing this, but, and that is not my intention in this post necessarily, but, the last point number 6, if you will, is the confidence factor. And some of that ties back into some of the other points that I've made, in even just, getting on social media and being personable. But Donald Trump never wavered. Like, he had confidence like I've never seen. He spoke about the fact that he was going to be president. The way he, his languaging that he used was, when I'm president, not if you elect me as president, or if I'm able to serve in the presidency. It was like, it was a done deal for him. He had that level of confidence. And, what my colleague kind of talked about too was even his presence, his stature. When he would speak, he really held the stage. And, I just wonder if and maybe let's just talk about all the other candidates in general, had as much confidence and as much stature and as much kind of oomph. I don't, there's kind of sometimes that like unwritten kind of, one of my mentors and leaders calls it the woo factor. So do you have that woo factor that people just are drawn to you and they resonate with you? And it's because of that confidence. And it's that belief that whatever it is that you're talking about is the truth. If you're talking about some sort of transformation, again, whether it's health or style or business or sales funnels, are you speaking about it in a way that other people believe that you can help them? And so really thinking about, how can you get more confident, because obviously you need to feel that way. And so that does go back into like mindset work and really thinking about why you don't believe it's possible, and doing some of that work. Some of it's just getting confident in, maybe it's confident in copywriting, maybe it's confident in getting on video. Are you comfortable in front of the camera talking like you're just talking to a friend, or, having a conversation? And that's the cool part about live video, is it's an amazing place to practice that. So just to kind of recap, because I know we've had people popping in and out. So again, these are just some of my personal takeaways on why I feel like that Trump won the presidential race from an entrepreneurial perspective. What are the things that Trump did that we can take away to really help build our business? So number one is being personal, sharing personal stories, kind of not being perfect, showing up and having conversations, not being on a script, getting away from scripting things and feeling that need to have everything scripted. Number two was utilizing social media, realizing and understanding the power of social media, and having that consistency of showing up every day and sharing all those different pieces. Number three was a strong message, a clear, strong message that again is consistent. So again, Trump's was Make America Great. It has been for a long time, and it was throughout the whole race. Number four is about being vulnerable and being transparent. Are you really showing up? And again, this is going to talk about, are you sharing what you've been through? Sharing your story, sharing your trials, your tribulations, and then bringing it, and you can bring it into a place where it comes from strength. And from that, you're really sharing, how did you get past that? How did you get over that? How did you overcome and kind of go from victim to victor? So number five is having or disrupting the marketplace. Is there something that you believe that not many other people believe, that maybe goes against what your industry kind of believes? And is there a way for you to really stand out? And so that, again, is going to help you kind of disrupt the marketplace. People are going to remember you. They're going to talk about you. That's the other thing. When you disrupt the marketplace, is you become someone other people talk about. And, with the race, everybody was talking about Trump, whether they loved him or whether they hated him. It was kind of like what I was telling my friend. I think people that voted for some of the votes were anti the other person, right? And so, but the thing is, the person that gets talked about and you are that familiar with them, obviously the results in this particular place show that that's the person that people end up wanting to be in that leadership position. And then number six, really the confidence, looking at, how confident are you in your message? How confident are you in the transformation that you offer? And, really looking at, again, even your stature. How do you talk? How do you stand? How do you present yourself in either copy or video? And hopefully it's both. On social media, go and look at your social media platforms. Where is that confidence and that boldness coming out? So, again, I've been wanting to talk about this. I wanted to let things die down a little bit. And, I think we're going to learn a lot from seeing a business person in office. And again, whether you hate them or love them, look at ways that successful people are doing things and see what you can extract from that. And I appreciate that Joanna said that she likes the way that, I pull things out and kind of relate them to business, because that is how my brain works. Because I think, again, if you see a system that's working for somebody else, if you can pull that system out and, relate it to something that you're doing. And again, that could be, a system for cooking, a system for organizing your closet, for running your household, for, whatever, and running your business, then why not? Why recreate the wheel? And so I hope that this has been helpful and that you can just kind of take a look at these 6 things that I shared with you and kind of look at your business and where you can maybe amp it up, where you can maybe shift some things, maybe get that really clear message, maybe figure out what is it that you believe that other people in your industry don't. And then obviously the power of social media, getting on, being confident, sharing your message. So I would love for you guys to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about what I just shared today. And as always, if you found this helpful and you think someone that you know would as well, I would completely appreciate you hitting that share button. So until next time, have a great day, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye.